maybe he might have some insight into this. Congressman, it's good to see you. Tell me, what do you think should be a consequence of nations? Now, we've got two, according to President Trump, who went back on their word to him.
Well, I think the first thing is to recognize who the good guy is in this Israel-Iran war. The good guy is, of course, the state of Israel. Iran is a terrorist state. Iran has done all kinds of terrible things. They've said death to Israel. They fired rockets on Israel time and time again. They've funded Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, all kinds of things that they have done. The good guys here are Israel, and of course, the good guys are also the United States of America. And what President Trump did over the weekend, what our military executed, the precision, even the deception that was used to pull this thing off in the way they did was, I think, just unbelievable how successful it appears it was. So President Trump, God bless him, God bless the military, God bless the state of Israel. Let's hope they get back to where there's no more firing. This thing is back to a ceasefire, as the president talked about. But I think we should remember, Iran is the bad guys. The good guys are America and, of course, the state of Israel.
Well, and you know what? Look, the ceasefire is fragile. We've already seen that. President Trump, again, not happy with both sides, but he's a little more upset, it appears, at least judging by his rhetoric, with Israel for violating the words that they gave to him, the promise they gave to him. He spoke to reporters about it this morning. Listen, Congressman.
These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload, and I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot, and now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you, and I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Congressman, if you're going to do a deal, I mean, I think President Trump's pretty clear. You're going to do a deal with me, you got to keep up your end of the bargain regardless of who you are, a friend or foe. Isn't that a fair standard?
Well, yeah, and I hope that, you know, like I said, I hope that we can get back to a ceasefire. And what we really hope is that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And it looks like we've done our military and the decision by President Trump and what Israel did prior to our military going in there with the stealth bombers. It looks like we've set Iran back big time, which is exactly what we wanted to accomplish. So, again, God bless the people who did it. Let's hope that, as I said before, Chris, let's hope we can get back to the ceasefire. But we should never forget in the end who the bad guys are here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think that degrading the Iranian capability to make nukes was definitely in the United States' best interests. Let's bring things back here at home.
It's in the world's best interest. It's in the world's best interest.
The
world's better off. Israel's better off. America's better off. Everyone's better off. I mean, and again, remember, it was Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, and the IAEA that said Iran was close to getting nuclear capability. Then the President Trump and the state of Israel working together did the world a favor.
Yeah, true enough. And President Trump just wants us all to get back to making money and not war. That's kind of a pretty good goal. Now, look, speaking of money, the House and Senate versions of the reconciliation bill, you've probably heard my take on this. In my opinion, they've abandoned all fiscal sanity. We will never see those proposed spending cuts. Why? Because a future Congress just going to change it all. We've seen it happen before, Congressman. You know that.
Yeah.
You chair Judiciary, and the Senate just stripped out a provision to stop these rogue judges from issuing nationwide injunctions, unconstitutional nationwide injunctions. Now we're told to wait until the budget is passed. And that's when we're going to see fiscal discipline return to Washington. But you know, Congress hasn't passed a budget in 28 years. In short, Congress refuses to live within its means. Isn't it true that Americans can no longer afford Congress?
Well, you're right. Our fiscal situation is not where we want it. The debt, the deficits we're running on an annual basis, the debt that keeps piling up, not where we want it. But step one into beginning to deal with all this is to get the economy growing like we know it can. And in order to make sure we have some of this real growth, accelerated growth, and longer-term growth, you got to make sure you don't raise people's taxes. You got to make sure you get those key tax cut provisions in place permanently for many of the pro-business ones. So that, to me, is the central focus of this bill. And again, Chris, if you pulled out any one single element of this reconciliation bill, Are you for cutting taxes? Yeah. Are you for cutting, having no tax on tips? Yeah. Are you for making sure resources are there to make sure the border stays secure? Yeah. Are you for giving parents choices where their kids go to school, putting that as part of the tax code? Yeah. Are you for making sure that able-bodied adults in our welfare system who are getting your money are going to have to go work? Yeah. So any one of those bills by themselves, Republicans, conservatives, you would vote for, Chris. But somehow when you put them all together, you're not going to vote for that package because it doesn't do enough on the spending reduction side. I wish we were cutting more spending, but in the end, if you get all those good elements together that we'd vote for if there were single bills, I think this is a pretty good bill. And the main reason you know it's a good bill is because the Democrats hate it. The left hates the bill. So that's the number one criteria. You know it's pretty darn good when the left doesn't like it. So let's hope we get it passed. I'm with you. I wish we were cutting more spending. But I still think in the end, what we're accomplishing on school choice, on work requirements, on tax cuts, on border security, pretty darn good.
There's a meme floating around on social media. I don't know if you've seen it. It is after the bombing. It says that a judge has banged the gavel and commanded President Trump to go rebuild Iran's nuclear program. It's a joke. But it goes to what you and I were just discussing, and you, as I said, you sit on Judiciary. The idea that some Senate Republican decided to strip out this language that would have put restrictions on these rogue, unconstitutional judges. I'm sorry, Congressman, that's unconscionable, and you can't blame it on Democrats.
And it may not even be a United States senator. It may be the parliamentarian. Sometimes it's the parliamentarian under these sort of arcane rules that exist in the Senate is saying, oh, that's not budget relative enough. It's too policy driven. And you're like, well, wait a minute. That person was never elected to anything. That person never had their name on a ballot. So it could be some of that, too, because we're hearing some of this stuff is getting pulled out in the so-called Byrd process, the Byrd rules that exist. And so it could be some of that because we had a provision in there like money. Certain grants can't go to cities that are sanctuary jurisdictions. That got pulled out, too. My understanding is that was driven largely by the parliamentarians. So there are things that we put in the judiciary side that we thought made good sense. We're concerned about, are they going to start taking some of the fees away we had? If you come here as applying for a visa, we think you should pay a fee. And we took the sort of fundamental position, our border security, why not have people who are coming here on visas finance and pay for our border security, for judges, for the wall, for the things that we're doing, detention space, more ICE agents, all those things. Why not have the visa applicants pay for that? Now, we're working through that process. We hope that the Senate doesn't take out some of those fees that we put in the legislation as well.
Okay, well, I mean, it's fiscal, man. I mean, the Congress pays the salary of those district court judges. It's all fiscal as far as I'm concerned. Congressman Jim Jordan, sir, always yes, sir.
We had a hearing today on that issue, the
sir.
budget of the courts. Yeah, thanks, Chris.
You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.